Hello, and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining, wherever you're joining from. Looks like we got a good crew in the chat today, which is always fun. Thank you for joining. All right, I'm back. I'm here, back in Portland. It feels like a very long time since I've been here. I've been in a couple of countries since the last time I streamed and now, so I guess that's probably why. But I'm back, so yeah, welcome. If you have a question, start your message with the letter Q. It makes it easier for me to filter it out on my screen here. Otherwise, we're gonna just start chatting about whatever comes up. Speaking of, if you remember 2 weeks ago in the stream, I attempted to recreate the glitches that I had with the stream using the OBSbot talent / director mini when my internet was really bad at the hotel. And right after the stream was over, we couldn't actually recreate the glitches. What was happening was, as soon as the bandwidth would or the latency would get too high, the whole stream just cut out. But in real life, what was happening was a really fun glitch artifacts showing up on YouTube. I realized after the stream the difference. The test I was doing was streaming from the Magewell device to a Magewell device in my studio, whereas on YouTube it was streaming to YouTube. So it's the actual receiver that is also part of what's going to happen on the other end when the internet is bad. So I can now recreate it. I was able to do some tests and recreated it with a test live stream right after actually being live. So, yeah. So if we want to take a look at that, I can set it up again. I've got things still set up here with the chaos router, prototype, and I'm actually updating the firmware on the director mini right now. I don't have the OBSbot. It's on the other table right now. But yeah, we can give that a shot. I also have a literal pile of gear on the table over there. Most of which is, this camera isn't quite pointed at it, but this is the corner of the pile, and a skeleton. Poor skeleton got knocked over by the cats and broke his arm, so I'm trying to fix him. But I've got a literal pile of gear over there that I have been accumulating over the last month, and I've had zero time to actually film anything about it, with the exception of bringing the OBSbot talent with me on that trip. But I've got a bunch of other stuff in there. Most of it is already released, so it's just waiting on me to film stuff about it. Only I think only one of them is not released, so I can talk about everything else. But I haven't even taken it out of the box yet because I just haven't been home. So yes, Stream Deck Studio is in fact one of them. I am very excited about that. Can't wait to try it out. Just got home Friday night, so yeah. Great. Okay. Chats are coming in. That's fantastic. IT Never Gets Old says, you've been using SRT for your streams for a while now. Do you have any thoughts on the use of SRT versus RTMP for YouTube streams? Yeah, so all of the streams since I got access to the YouTube SRT beta, I have been using SRT for them. And it has been, I haven't seen any problems at all. And like here where I have good internet, they're both fine. Like RTMP is fine from here also. But SRT has been rock solid also. So definitely no complaints. That's good. We don't want things to go backwards. I did do SRT from with the remote stream when I was in, where was that? I don't even remember where I was. I think it was Chicago. Yeah, that's where I was over the weekend a couple weeks ago. And that was where we got the fun digital art. So we could try, actually, maybe we could try later, once things get going, do a test to see if I can recreate the digital art with SRT and RTMP and see what happens. So that could be fun. Dean says, what's the main camera you're using for the stream? Quality is superb. Thanks. It's the same camera I've always used, Lumix BGH1. Been using it for a couple of years now. They're great cameras. The main reason I got them is because they're actually network controllable. I don't know if I have it up right now. I do. Hopefully everything is still in focus, but if I can go and show you my computer screen somewhere here. And this is the interface for controlling the camera. So I've got the focus peaking on, which is why you're seeing that. Maybe I should double check I'm in focus. Yeah, it looks like it's fine. I can control the aperture, shutter speed. This is why I got it, because all my cameras are like tucked back behind things or up in places where I can't necessarily reach them. So that lets me tweak the settings remotely, which is super useful. But the other part of the picture is, of course, the light, and there's a lot of light in here, which I think is a huge part of the reason that the camera looks good at all. Anyway, for example, if I don't have a lot of light in here, then it looks a lot different. So I don't know how to make bad lighting with the lights that are well placed. I guess I could turn on the room lights and see if that, let's try that. Let's see if they're going to turn on today. Sometimes they're slow to warm up in the morning. Yeah. There we go. So this is just like the ambient light from the room, and it's obviously way too dark because they're not even that bright. But this is why I like this camera, because now I can go like, oh, let's up the ISO and let's make this look cool. Yeah, this is a good example of this looks terrible because the lighting is just bad. The TV is way blown out because it's too bright compared to the lights in the room, and it's just not well positioned. The lights just aren't well positioned in here, even though it's like technically, this is a little bit dark. Let's go even brighter. Yeah, now it's just looking, it's terrible because there's no light on my face. Anyway, lighting is most of the reason the cameras look good. Let's get rid of that and put that back. Much better. Toby says, do you have an idea of how to make a blurry effect on a camera input on an ATEM device? That's a fun question. Blurry effect. There aren't really video effects that you can do in the ATEM with the exception of the like chroma keying. But this would involve like actual fancy video processing. There's definitely nothing built in. What could you do to sort of... I'm thinking like it'd be fun to have. This is actually I need to like actually automate this, but I have a camera on the back of the wall so you can see everything on the desk here as I'm getting things set up, and I kind of want this to be blurry, and it'd be fun to do like have this blurry with the countdown screen over it, but there's no like effect for that in the ATEM, so the best I could do is actually blur the lens. Like change the focus of the lens. So, which I can do on with this Lumix app. If I switch over to that camera, I can go and adjust the focus to make this blurry. So then it's going to look like, let's get that out of there. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Yeah. So now it looks like that, that'd be kind of fun to have as a background with the countdown and the map and stuff. But yeah, there's no way to do this in the ATEM itself. It doesn't have that kind of video processing capabilities in it. So I have done something similar to that by using a computer with to receive an RTMP feed, do video processing with FFmpeg in the computer, and then output it back out. definitely a bit roundabout, often too much to, often too many hops, too many pieces of gear to actually make that work for most things, but it does work. I was doing that for, I've done a couple things with it. You could blur it. You can do crops. So you can take like a horizontal stream and take out a vertical middle segment and restream that. What else I do? A flip. You could flip it around. Things that you can't do with ATEM. How did you manage to show a video signal on the Mac in the background? This is just a Lumix Tether app. So like if you look at the, this is the like choosing the camera over here. This is the controls for it. And then this is just the video feed that it shows from the camera. So it's just a window that I can move around. Toby says, my workaround is to send the cam into OBS via NDI, apply the effect, and then send it back to the ATEM. Yeah, totally. That's exactly the right kind of thing. I don't think there's definitely nothing in the hardware that you can do with the ATEM. So this is a pretty good workaround. That was a very good demonstration of both the importance of lighting and effective network control of lighting. Yeah, thanks. Andy says, have you used the OBSbot UVC to HDMI on the output of ATEM Mini to effectively turn the new USB output separation into an aux out? I haven't actually done that, but it should work. I haven't actually tested the OBSbot UVC adapter. I probably should. Do I have it nearby? I don't think I do. I think it's in another drawer somewhere. I'll have to go look around for it. Oh, I meant the video signal on the vintage Mac. Aha, that one, yeah. I was wondering when somebody would notice that. That's also a fun little trick. That is not actually the real screen from the Mac. This I got just the shell. There was no monitor or guts when I got that box. I have two of them. I have one that's like full. That was my actual, or my friend's actual Mac that I have been restoring and getting a SD card for a hard drive and things like that. So it boots up now. But this one I got from a friend, and it did not have anything inside of it. It was just a shell. So I actually bought a little screen, a little HDMI monitor that was about the right size. It's not exactly the right size because that original screen was not 16:9 aspect ratio. So there's a little black border on the top and bottom, which is just construction paper. And so it's just a monitor inside there. So then I have a SDI to HDMI converter sitting inside that box, and I can route anything from the ATEM over to that monitor. So I can go into my ATEM. I have a Mac SE output, and I can route whatever I want. So I can put the map up there, for example. So now it'll show the map is on the TV, and or I can do I could do the overhead camera, which is kind of fun. So you can see what's on my table. It's a little bit harder to tell that it's actually live when it's like that. I could, of course, route a HyperDeck into it, so I could play back video clips on a loop or whatever. It's kind of fun. Oh, I can put the RØDECaster video multi-view in it. That'd be kind of weird. So now it's the display from the RØDECaster video. You can't really tell what it is. It's so small. Maybe the ATEM multi-view is more obvious. Let's do that. Let's do the ATEM SDI that's actually doing this stream. Nope, too small to really tell. Anyway, I think it's fun. I think it's cute. The other trick is that you might notice that it's like kind of black and white. It's actually doing, because the Blackmagic converters, you can load a LUT into them. And you can load a LUT. So I made a LUT that basically desaturates the image. And that way it looks kind of like the vintage monitor. And then that LUT is actually loaded onto the converter that's sitting in there so that it will always take whatever video signal and do the processing on it and output it. Speaking of video processing, it'd be fun if there was not just LUTs, but if you could do actual like blur or effects on those little boxes, but that's a different problem. All right, where was I? Andrew says, what would you like to see added to the YouTube Live SRT beta ahead of final release? I mean, right now it seems perfectly fine. Like if you are just looking at comparing RTMP ingestion versus SRT ingestion, there's like they're essentially equivalent, and I don't think there's anything missing. I have a lot of feature requests, however, for the YouTube Studio in general, regardless of the ingestion method, but that is a different problem. I think that so in here, for example, like here's the analytics. First of all, it's weird that it shows me like hours of nothing, even though I didn't go live until here. Stream health is completely inaccurate and doesn't show anything useful ever. Sometimes it'll show messages that are wrong here. Sometimes it'll just whatever. Stream settings, this is where you can see your two stream URLs and your stream keys. One thing I would like to see is, for example, which of the two URLs is getting a video signal right now, because why would I, if I'm gonna use a backup URL, I want to know which of my two encoders is actually sending a signal right now, which is YouTube actually pulling from. Be nice also, for example, to be able to switch YouTube and tell it which to pull from. There's a whole bunch of interesting failure modes that are just useless in YouTube Studio because it just doesn't give me any information. So I have a lot of feature requests for YouTube Studio. However, none of those have to do with the actual SRT versus RTMP. They would apply to both. So maybe at some point I will, maybe I'll get a chance to share that feedback with them at some point. I don't know. Oh yeah, YouTube Studio is horror. All right, let me see some good questions coming in. Ray says, what are your thoughts with the YOLO, I assume you mean YOLO Box Ultra. I've had it for a few weeks and it's been very unstable for me. Video dropouts, no connection to YouTube audio issues. So I usually use it when I'm traveling, although lately I've been taking the Director Mini with me just because I'm testing that one out now too. I have had some issues with it. I would say it's not as solid with audio processing compared to some others. I've had the best luck with audio, bringing audio in through HDMI. So running audio into a camera into HDMI rather than the audio analog in on the device. So if you're bringing audio over the 1/8 inch analog jack and that's causing you issues, try moving over to an HDMI input. So that's something I've noticed for sure. Video dropouts, I'm curious what you mean, because that can mean a bunch of different things. I have noticed that it does do better with bad internet connections compared to the ATEM, which is interesting, but it will. So yeah, but at the same time, I've also noticed like once you start putting a bunch of things into it and asking it to do a lot of work, it will start dropping frames because it's not a real-time video processor like the ATEM. So I've had some issues like that, but overall, it's definitely like, it's nice that it's an all-in-one box and it can do so much more than similar devices can. It has a lot of useful features like web overlay graphics, NDI input, things like that. So for very portable setups, it is often a lot easier to do than to deal with than an ATEM. The Nail Authority says, what are you using to display the chat messages? So this is custom code that I wrote, but there is a very similar version that is a Chrome plugin that you can get. There is a link in the description down below to that, along with a video tutorial. Leonard says, how can I Elgato Prompter, Elgato Pro 4K, Elgato Stream Deck Plus with USB hub, and I can't link to Streamyard and see the script on the prompter? Any help would be greatly appreciated. Streamyard and see the script on the prompter. So the way the Elgato Prompter works, and I don't have it on this computer right now, I actually set it up over on a different camera, on the one that's actually this camera, because I was using it to film a video where I needed a script, and I've decided to turn that into a sort of secondary little set. Anyway, it's over there. I still need a better laptop stand, but it's meant to plug into my laptop. Anyway, point is, the way that the prompter works is that it can the Elgato software kind of takes over its screen. It's not really a secondary monitor, so it doesn't have anything to do with like the windows that are on your screen. So it shouldn't be a problem to have StreamYard open in a browser and then feed a script to the prompter, because there isn't really any conflict there. So I'm not really sure what problems you're having with it, but that should be just fine. And then yeah, the Elgato Pro 4K, I don't remember what that one looks like. Oh, the capture card. Or is it the 4K webcam? I haven't used either of those. I've only used the face cam, Elgato face cam, not Pro. But I don't know what the problem. If you give more details about the problem you're having, then maybe I can help. Mark says, "Are you going to CES in January? I got passes for the first time. What should I expect, and what is a must do?" I have never been to CES. I'm probably not going. I don't think I have enough of a good reason to go. It's I know there's like some video and streaming gear there, but definitely not as much as NAB. I don't think I can really justify it. Also, I'm really tired of traveling, and I'd really just like to stay at home. How can you synchronize the delay of the cameras connected by NDI with cameras directly connected with a cable to the Director Mini? Oh, you can't really. Yeah, that's just a classic problem. Very few devices, certainly nothing as cheap as the Director Mini, will have the ability to add video delay. They usually do have an audio delay feature. Sometimes it's only on the analog inputs, but that's just kind of a general thing. So I'm looking down because it finally finished updating the software. Oh yeah, this is the problem with the Director Mini screen. doesn't look good on camera. It's really hard to film videos about it because of that. That happened a little bit. Yeah, so if you bring an NDI video feed in, let's do that. I don't know what's on the ProConvert. I have an NDI encoder here. Source. That's the wrong one. Which one is my NDI encoder? Oops. 79. There we go. I need to send something to it. That must be why. SDI, Magewell NDI encoder. There we go. Okay. You are going to get my main camera. Let's see if that works. Weird. I don't know why that's not pulling in the NDI feed. It should be. NDI encoder, ATEM 2. ATEM 2 gets my main camera. It's weird because I see it getting a signal. Maybe it's not compatible with this NDI format. I thought it was. I thought I've done this before. This should be getting an NDI feed onto my network, but it is possible that it's. Oh, it's weird. It's like it's not encoding it. Let's reboot this. Because there's nothing pulling it. Darn. I wanted to try that. I'm guessing it's NDI HX versus full NDI issue. And this thing probably doesn't give me an option. Oh well, I guess I can't demo that. Anyway, point is, yes, video delay is just not a thing that you're going to be able to get on these devices. It's not. So you just have to deal with it. So basically, like, what I usually, this is true with cameras too, because there's always an HDMI delay out, and the HDMI out will have a different delay based on the camera. So if you absolutely need all the video in sync from all the different camera angles, then you have to just use the same type of camera. Like these cameras have about I think it's like 6 frames or so, 30 frames a second. And as long as they're all the same camera, it's all the same delay, and I can delay the audio to match. But if I wanted to use a different camera for an angle or NDI feed, then you just have to do it in a way where the delay doesn't matter. So for example, if you have like a really wide shot of a conference room, like the one far back in the room where the person speaking is like this tall, then you're not going to be able to see that their lips are out of sync. So it doesn't really matter if it's an extra quarter second delayed. So that's basically as good as you can get. Yeah. Look at the NDI tab. I did. There's nothing really in it that I can change. There's just NDI on off. There's no format control, for example. So, oh well. It's got a video. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, scrolling back through here. Bert says, installing an ATEM Constellation 2ME in a few days. Any words of wisdom for the installation? Should I have a separate BNC patch panel? That's a good question. One thing that helped me a lot was when I was doing the wiring for this. I wish I had that. I have a time-lapse video of it somewhere, and I don't know if it's... I don't think I have it handy enough. But unless it's this one. No, that's too recent. Anyway, the thing that helped me was I first made a plan for which things I wanted to go into each input. You don't have this problem with the 2ME, but I have the MADI audio in the 4ME, which only applies to like the first physical first 15 ports, because I can only get 32 channels out of it. And they're stereo channels, so it's 15 ports. So any devices that I wanted audio from, I needed to put in the first 15. So basically, it meant that I had to plan strategically like what devices are going to go into what inputs, because changing them later is hard once it's all in a rack, and not something I want to do all the time. So drew it all out, made a plan for all that, and then the actual wiring of it went really quick because I also didn't have to think about it anymore. So it was really good. Once I was ready to actually do the wiring, it was nice to just have a plan next to me written down, and then I could just go, okay, that one goes there, that one goes there, that one goes there, and not have to like think through the whole thought process of what do I want connected where. So I highly recommend documenting that, writing that all down first before you start doing wiring. And then also it's just nice to have that all written down for later as well. Rob says, looking to add an OBSbot camera to a rig with an ATEM mini setup, which would be the better USB camera with interface unit to HDMI, or go for the tail air unit has HDMI out from a latency point of view? If you're using an ATEM mini, then you don't have any USB video inputs by default, so you'll have to use something else to convert USB to HDMI, and that's going to definitely add some delay. I don't know off the top of my head what the HDMI delay out is from the HDMI port in the tail air, but it's not dramatically, it's not huge. If you're going through a USB to HDMI converter, that's going to add, I don't know, like a quarter or a half a second, but we're talking about like counting frames from HDMI delay out. So definitely HDMI would be the better option there. Also just because it saves a converter, and the tail arrow already has HDMI out, so might as well do that. I would definitely recommend that. Peter Blade says, I use the YOLO Box Ultra with iPhones connected. They're all looking good on the iPhone screen, but the yellow turns my face red. Why balances that correctly? Any thoughts on that? How are you getting the camera to the YOLO Box? Is it like a HDMI converter? Or like an NDI feed? YOLO Box turns the face red. One thing I have noticed, I'm curious how red you mean. One thing I have noticed is that, and this is actually true on the Director Mini also, this screen looks more red than the video actually is once it goes to out to YouTube. So it's actually, this one doesn't seem that bad right now. I think the OBSbot, I thought they were the same hardware, but the OBSbot one, it was more dramatic. It could just be that because of the particular lighting. So what you're seeing on the screen may not be exactly the same as what's actually getting sent out. So double check that it's not, that it's also looking super red on the way out as well. You're saying HDMI to Apple Lightning. So monitor shows red as well, broadcast to Amazon Live. Is it actually looking red on Amazon also? Interesting. I haven't actually tried Amazon from the YOLO Box. I do remember one thing about Amazon, which this may not be related, but it could be. They actually say that they only support 720p input, and they want you to send a 720p signal, not 1080. If I remember correctly, they do actually accept the 1080 and then they downscale it, but that means it's going through some extra processing on their end, and maybe there's something going on with the color space in that conversion. So try 720 and see if that helps. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. I can't think of anything that would cause it to be super red. Steve182 says, are there any switchers that can crop in their input stream? Like my DJI RC2 doesn't output clean HDMI, so I crop in with OBS. Oh yeah, that's a fun problem. The yeah, there are a couple. So the ATEM doesn't really have doesn't work exactly like you're saying, but you can use an upstream key to crop in, basically scaling. Instead of picture in picture, you make it bigger so that it pushes the edges of the image outside your video frame. But you have to use an upstream key for that, so it's not the best option because you can't really like cut to it like a camera angle. But some of these other ones that are, it's usually the ones that are like software based, like this can do it. So if I go, I think this, let's see, if I go edit this, yeah. So I can go and make this picture bigger than, and now, you know, if there were things around the edge, because it wasn't clean HDMI out, then I can save that. And now this is like, that is that angle, right? So I can cut to, you know, cut to a video clip, cut back to this, and this is saved with the scaling built in. So this does it. I don't remember if the YOLO Box works the same way. I feel like it's slightly different. Let's go reset the crop on that. There we go. Maybe I should turn it on. Let's find out. I have it down here. Let's see if the battery is charged. It's been I haven't been home for a couple weeks. While that's booting up, RØDECaster video can also do it. So that one looks like, if you go into the scene builder, so here is camera one. So you can't change the camera. The buttons on the bottom are like the camera inputs. The buttons on the top are scenes. So the cameras you can't change other than keying. They could add this. They could add an option to, instead of keying it out, also crop it. Doesn't exist right now, but you can make a scene with just one camera in it and then scale it there. So if I go and create a scene B with just this one camera, then I can, let's see, here is the little, oh wait, I can't make it, I forgot. They don't let me scale it up. I can only scale it down. So I can scale it, I can crop it, which is not really what you want. So I could crop the graphics out of it. Oh wait, yeah, no, this will work. I can crop, if I imagine there's a little UI from the drone around the edges, once you crop it, then you can scale it back up. So it'll take a little bit of trial and error to get it to work right, but that's now cropped. And if I compare it to A, you can see it's zoomed in a little bit. So it takes up one of your scene slots, but you can do it that way. This thing booted up, so let's see if I can do it with the YOLO Box too. I'm gonna update the software later. Go into that. I'm gonna have to, let's see if I add an NDI. Let's see if the NDI feed works on the YOLO Box. Pro convert. There it goes. Cool. So for some reason that just doesn't work on the Director Mini. I don't know why. Anyway, now that that's here, I should be able to go, let's see, here's crop. So I can crop out, you see that it's like cropping out the edges and then fit to screen. So I can go, let's go like, you know, close up on my face. Then done. And now it actually saves it as a separate angle. So here's the uncropped version and here's the cropped in version. So yeah, you can do it here too, although it doesn't, the Director Mini is the only one that does it really like the most seamlessly, where it's like, this is just the camera now cropped. So there's some ideas for you. Where was I? Oh my gosh, so many questions in the chat. This is great. What a good turnout today. Olympus Net. How can I minimize latency using sort to I don't know what that question is. Sorry. I think something got auto-corrected. Did I order an M4 Mac Mini? No, I didn't. I barely even knew that was launched this week because I've just been so busy at this event. But what is right? It's the tiny one, super small, like Apple TV sized, with the power button on the bottom. Right? I saw everybody making fun of the power button. I think it's hilarious. Although if you just turn it over, then the power button's on the top. No, I have not ordered one. I don't know if it makes any sense here. I don't ever see the Mac Mini because it's in the rack, so I don't really care how big it is. But the yeah, maybe I'll get one because one thing that I have noticed is this Mac, this is a M2, so it's not that old. M2 Mac Mini 2023. Yeah, it's not old at all. 24 gigs of RAM, so it's decent. It's been great for use in the studio here. I mostly am using it for live streams, but I do have, you know, email and video calls and stuff I do on here too every now and then. But I am using OBS on it, which is doing the graphics, which is the chat and the countdown music at the beginning of the map. Not that one. That one's the Fire TV on the playing the website, but the one on the stream is running through OBS. And I have noticed that while that's running, if I do anything on the computer, like reload Gmail or open ATEM software control while OBS is going, I will hear the audio skipping. And if you go back to the intro of this stream, you might notice it happened a couple times during the intro, because it's just doing too many things, which is the problem with computers. So maybe I should get one just as a graphics box and just run OBS on it, outputting into the Ultra Studio here so that I can free up my main Mac for it. So, he meant SRT to ATEM. Thank you for interpreting that. Okay, yes. The question was, how do I minimize latency using SRT to ATEM? The latency will entirely depend on how good your network is and what your SRT latency buffer time is. So you choose your latency in SRT based on how good your network is. And so if you're on a local network, you can get really low latency feed between two boxes. But if you're going over the internet, there may not be a way around the latency. But that is a where is it? If I go to the director, oh, right, it rebooted. If I go to the director mini, oops, and go into the SRT configuration, stream, SRT caller. So there's a latency setting here. And most SRT encoders will let you set this. The Blackmagic, the ATEM Blackmagic and Web Presenter don't let you do it because it doesn't automatically. But this is supposed to be 6 times your ping time to whatever you're streaming to. So if I'm streaming to something in the studio, my ping time is going to be super low. So my latency can be super low. But if you're over the internet, it'll break down if you go super low. And that's when we got the fun digital art on the stream 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Which I do want to recreate. So we'll see if we have time for that. Oh, back to the other question. The Elgato Pro camera is what I have, but I can't figure out how to use StreamYard with the prompter. So basically, they're just like 2 totally separate things. So StreamYard is just going to be in a browser with pulling the webcam feed. You got your guests in there and everything. The prompter will have nothing to do with it. So it's a separate app on the computer. You could even run it on a separate computer. But they aren't going to talk to each other at all. You shouldn't have any problem running both apps at the same time. I'm trying to see if I have the prompter isn't plugged in, so it's not letting me even open the interface, of course. So yeah, I don't have a way to show that really right now. But it's just a separate app on your computer. So if you're struggling with like you can't manipulate StreamYard and also deal with the interface of the prompter app at the same time, you might want to get a separate computer for one of them. So that way you have a computer dedicated just to the prompter, and then a separate computer just for StreamYard. That can help sometimes. Gwen says some YouTuber, maybe David Joshua Ford, mentioned using Excel to plan out rack builds. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I just did it in like just a text file. Just writing down like port number 2 goes to that. But Excel would be more fun. Razor Baby says, just curious, do manufacturers like Magewell Road understand the amount of purchasing influence you have? And I hope you are compensated properly. Thanks. I hope they do. But so far I have not done like sponsored videos for them, for Magewell or Rode. They just send me the gear, and then I do a video about it if I want to. I try to only get in gear here that I am excited about for some reason, that I think will be actually useful. But mainly I just want to make sure that like you get real sense of what it's like to use these things, rather than just the like sponsored ads about them. This is actually kind of one of the challenges with dealing with sponsored content on YouTube is if someone's going to pay me to produce a video about a device, they should get control, like editorial control over the video, right? It makes sense that like they're paying for it. I treat it like a production job, right? Where they have a vision for the video. I will work with them to produce that video. So I can say things in it, but obviously they get final control over like what goes out on that video, which is very, very different from if somebody is not paying me for a video and they just send me something, then I may make a video about it. I may not. If I do make a video, they're not going to see it before it goes live. Hopefully I'm not saying anything incorrect, but if I do, I might fix it. But if it's like, I want to show you how it works and show you the good parts and the quirks. So, I kind of prefer doing it that way, even though it means I get less money, just because I feel like it's more useful to everybody else if you can actually see what it's like to use these things and not just see the produced videos. So, it is a constant struggle though. So yeah. How do you like the new Rode video mic control after using it for some time? Not 100% sure what you mean there. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're talking about a mic or the RØDECaster video. Less money, more freedom. Everything is a trade-off. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if I'm not getting paid by brands, I'm only getting paid by YouTube, which means it's actually coming from all of you watching the videos, because the more that you watch and comment and like all the videos, the more YouTube is happy to have my content on YouTube, and then they will send more people to it, and then that's how I end up getting money out of this. So every thumbs up counts, which is a good reminder. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and hit the bell. Ray says, when I mentioned I have video dropouts on my YOLO Live Ultra, my camera is a Sony ZV-E10. Dropouts, I mean the camera screen is always on, but the YOLO HDMI feed goes black for a little and returns. Oh, that's a totally different thing than I thought you meant. That is usually because the thing that's going to make the biggest difference here is the length of the HDMI cable and the quality of the HDMI cable. This is the classic problem with HDMI. It's a combination of camera, cable, and the receiver as to whether it's going to flicker or not. So you might have the same ZV-E10 with the same cable, and it is dropping out on the YoloBox, but it works fine on the ATEM. You might have no dropouts with the same cable on one camera, but it does drop out with a different camera. It's all just like a combination of all those three things. So if you're seeing the video signal just cut out, it's probably the HDMI cable. So try a different cable, try a shorter cable, try a thicker one. Thicker ones have more shielding, so it can handle interference better. So that is what I would try first. And it's definitely not unique to the YoloBox. Everything has this problem as well. Ratchet Up Your Art says, once you have your phone connected to the ATEM Extreme, how do you get a clean HDMI and use the phone as a camera? Do I need to do anything special? Yeah, so the camera app on the phone won't work. There is no clean HDMI out from the built-in camera app. You will need a separate app for that. I think I have a video that goes through a couple different options, but the most recent one, which I think is not in this video because it is older than the app, but the Blackmagic camera app is a new app from Blackmagic that in addition to being able to record and have like manual control over the shutter speed and all the settings of the camera, that has a setting in it for clean HDMI out. But I will just drop a link to this video anyway about other this is actually about in particular using the camera iPhone wirelessly, but the same thing applies non-wirelessly. Let me see if I go to Blackmagic camera. So there is a setting in here, which is, this is kind of dim. It's somewhere in here. Camera, monitor, yeah, HDMI out. So video feed or mirror display. So if you have mirror display, all the interface will show up. But if you go into here and choose video feed and clean feed, then you can actually get just the video feed out of this app. I have the Blackmagic design app. Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, so there you go. That's how to do it. On the iPhone, you can add your camera to a Keynote presentation, which allows you to display your camera full screen, and you can even create different slides for front, back, and side cameras. Oh, that's hilarious. I kind of love this idea. That's so weird. That's so funny. What a funny idea. I've never even thought to do that. Let's see. If I open up Keynote, oh my God, I don't even remember how to do it. Insert live video. Oh, that's from my computer. Oh, it pulled up my iPhone camera. I just turned it on. Oh, that's so funny. Take photos, scan doc. Wow, yeah. I haven't done any of this before. That's so funny. So, I guess, yeah, my phone is sitting over there staring at the ATEM. Yeah, and then I guess if I go full screen, oh, Keynote's not in full screen mode. Play full screen. Then that's my iPhone camera. That's so funny. What a funny little trick. Our ATEM Mini Pro doesn't output display on the HDMI out. Is this a common issue? No. It should. No. I would not say it's a common issue. I have heard of some of the HDMI ports getting broken on the ATEM Minis, but it's very unusual. I would assume that it's a combination of the monitor or the cable again. So double check, like try a different monitor, try a different cable, test all that kind of combination of stuff first before you're assuming it's the ATEM's fault. If it doesn't work with any monitors or any cables that you've got, then it's a support ticket to Blackmagic, but that's pretty rare, I would say. Micah says, what best way to do lower thirds in OBS? Currently triggering a Pro Presenter prop from a Stream Deck, and it's kind of complicated. You can definitely do it with OBS. So if you have, I guess I can use OBS for this right now, even though it's running the graphics. So right now I have just the chat brought in. I haven't done the weather in a while. Let's show the weather forecast. This is the weather from everybody who joined the stream, showing the weather from where you are. Should rotate through it in a couple of seconds. But imagine this is lower third. You could just create multiple layers for them. So I could make 5 graphics, probably the easiest way to do it. But you could also, yeah, I could just load in a graphic. I don't think I have any lower thirds handy. Anyway, this is a lower third, the weather. So now that it's there, I can go make a Stream Deck button for it. And I should, let's see, I have a graphics tab. Let's see if it's in there already. Yeah, there is. So OBS can be controlled by the Stream Deck. So this will, for the current scene, toggle the weather source. So now if I go to this on my Stream Deck, I can toggle it on and off. So that's not too bad. You can make a button for each graphic, for example, each layer. I feel like it's a pretty good way to do it. I don't know what that's like with Pro Presenter because I've never used it before. But generally lower thirds just take a lot of time to prep anyway. So Gwen says a bunch of people in some of the Facebook groups have reported HDMI ports going bad after X time, so it may not be a rare issue. Interesting. Okay. I feel like I haven't heard of it that often, but I'm not really on Facebook. Oh, Graham has a really good point. Also check that you're sending the right thing to the HDMI output. I once found it was just a black frame I was setting instead of program. That is a very good point. Sometimes it is, in fact, that simple. You will have a output option on the ATEM with 2 on the extreme, and you can make sure that it's not set to black, or make sure it's like actually set to multi-view, not something that's going to result in just black outputs. And yes, IT never gets old. Says HDR graphics is pretty great for lower thirds and for chat integration. Also very controllable with Companion. Very good point. I will put a link to this in the chat as well. IT never gets old says, what is the most disappointing piece of video gear you've purchased or received over the past couple of years? For me, it's the Bird Dog Play. I don't feel like it's fair to include things that have been sent to me that I didn't buy in this list. So I will only include things that I've purchased. And I think I agree. I think it's the Bird Dog Play. I had very high hopes for that. And it has not lived up to the hopes. So at least it was just cheap. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Sprolink MD2? Any chance that you might test it out on your channel? MD2, I don't recognize that name. Let me look really quick. Oh, is this this isn't the one that they showed me at NAB, is it? 4K dual channel 4K. Maybe it is. I can't remember if I had a model name at that point. It looks very similar to the Director Mini. There's 2 HDMIs there and 2 HDMIs there, but it's only 2 inputs. It must be outputs. I wonder if this is 2 HDMI out. Okay, HDMI loop and out. This might be the one that they showed me at NAB that was based on my presentation switcher. So I think it is. 2 cameras, computer for live streaming, and ST USB record. Oh, this is the one. So computer in, pass through, use loop out to drive a screen. I have not actually got a hold of this, but I think this is the one that they were showing me. I think in which case, I think it would be, it's like, I'm glad they put those diagrams there for what it's for, because it's, because it is it's kind of confusing why it's only got 2 inputs, but once you look at their uses for it, it makes a lot of sense. Like, it does exactly that. Oh yeah, they even have the little like background with slides and a cropped video on there, which is from this. So this was the thing I had sent to as many people as I could find, talking about what is this for. But basically I want 2 inputs. One is picture, one is slides. I have a layout. I can load a still graphic for logos, and then outputs pass through, so I can output the slides to a projector, for example. And they did almost exactly this. So yeah, I hope I'll get it sent in. Australia is up early today. Craig is here from Australia. I think that's because we've now both flipped our clocks and they're closer together in time now. So we set our clocks back last week, and so now it is only 5 a.m. in Sydney instead of when we're both in daylight savings. We're actually opposite, so it's like 2 hours different. Normally 2 hours different from now. I think it would be 3 a.m. now before daylight savings. Only 5 a.m. I was up at 5 a.m. today. Matt says, I had a dozen customers using ATEM Extreme and had to keep a spare. At least one every several months would have a hardware issue. These were static installs, not travel rigs. Weird. Got our ATEM 2020. For the past few months, I've rebooted before recording to be sure it won't lock up the recording option during an event. Switching and streaming work fine when it happens, though. I have definitely noticed that that problem. And I guess actually this ATEM that I'm using for the stream right now, I haven't rebooted, well, since the last power outage, so it's been 2 weeks. But yeah, I have noticed that the recording for some reason can lock up after the device has been on for a long time. So I got in the habit of rebooting my ATEM Extreme pretty often when I was using it. But actually, Lily's that's upstairs, she doesn't record on it very often, but it hasn't had any problems. And that's like the original Extreme that I bought ages ago at this point. And it's usually just on 24/7, except for the occasional power outage. If they made it 6 months, then they seem to be fine. Interesting. I also wonder if there was changes to the manufacturing base from the original batch of them to the more recent ones, because there was definitely like a chip shortage in there at one point. So yeah. Does anybody ever recommend turning off the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO? I never have. Like most of my stuff is just on all the time. I did turn off my gear the last 2 weeks because I wasn't here. But normally it's just on, so I can come down and it's all ready to go. But yeah, Lily's upstairs has been on 24/7, except for when the power went out 2 weeks ago. And that was the first time the power had gone out in like a year. So it's been on for a long time. We don't use it for recording very often, though. Mostly just streaming, and it doesn't have any problem with that. On the ATEM Mini Pro, does the inputs 2, 3, and 4 have the issue with using long HDMI cables, but input 1 is okay with long cables, about 10 meters? Yeah, so this is a good example. The input 1 has a different HDMI chip compared to the 2, 3, and 4. And it's just a different chip because it has the ability to do the pass-through out with no, like, bypassing the whole video processing in the chip. So that is an example of it's just different, and that can have effects like based on cable length. So yeah, I'm not at all surprised that that one would behave differently with a long cable compared to inputs 2, 3, and 4, because it is a different chip. So, and 10 meters is about the max that you can really expect HDMI to work generally. So that's right at the edge there. So yeah, not surprised. One thing that is nice is fiber HDMI cables have come down in price a lot compared to like 5 years ago. So if you do need something around 10 meters or longer, then you are probably better off going to fiber HDMI to that point, and then you won't have those issues. The occasional power outage sounds funny. I can't remember the last time power was out here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty good here compared to other parts of the country, but sometimes, yeah. This one was like, I forget what the cause was, but it was out for like 4 or 6 hours or something. It went out at, I think I was on my way back from a trip. Went out before I got on the plane. Yeah, it went out the morning when I woke up. I think I was coming back from Chicago. And I got up super early to get on the plane, early in Chicago, which is 2 hours later than here. And then the power went out. I got a notification of the, like, a bunch of the Unify network gear had dropped off the network. And then got on the plane, got on the internet, was watching all the devices shut down as the batteries ran out. And then by the time I got home, it had turned on like 30 minutes before I got home. So it was like, yeah, it was like 6 hours. It's very unusual to be off for that long here, though. What do you recommend to get a multicam Final Cut Pro X after the live stream? So if you're ISO recording on the ATEM, it does create a DaVinci Resolve project. However, the project file only contains the cuts between cameras. It doesn't, and I guess your graphics overlays will show up in there also. But it doesn't have like your upstream keys or super source. So if all you care about is the switching, it will create that project for you. You should be able to go into Resolve, which you can download for free. You don't need the pro version for this. And in Resolve, you can output to different formats. So you should be able to output from Resolve to Final Cut. I think that's in there. If not, then you can output to something else that Final Cut can import. But that said, I have found that the Resolve project is not complete enough to actually be useful for most things. So most of the time, I will just take I'll just take the auto switch or the switched file, and then if I need to fix anything, just manually like splice in video clips on top of it myself. So yeah. Gwen says, I never use the streaming function on the ATEM to do the various horror stories. I usually send the ATEM into Ecamm and let Ecamm do the encoding, which also has other benefits. Ecamm shows YouTube chat. It's interesting. So like I'm using the ATEM SDI ISO right now to stream this, and that's what I've been doing for the last several months, mostly since I got the SRT beta on YouTube, and it's been fine. Like it's been solid. I don't have an issue with it, but that's because I have good internet here. It definitely does do poorly on worse internet. So if you're regularly on bad internet, then I would not recommend using the ATEM's streaming. But yes, the Ecamm or the YouTube chat feature is a very good reason to bring in the webcam video into Ecamm and do it that way. Resolve does have FCP XML as an export option. It's what you have to use to get it into Premiere. Right. Okay. So yeah, you can go directly from Resolve to Final Cut, but if you want to bring it into Premiere, you have to go output as Final Cut first and import that into Premiere. Efrat says, what are the camera settings you're using, like H.264 360p 1.5 megabits? What's the camera and lens because it looks so clean? What software are you using for cooking? I assume you mean streaming. But yeah, this is the Blackmagic BGH1. But again, back at the beginning of the stream, I did a demo of this same setup, but with bad lighting. So it's mostly the lighting that's making it look good. But the camera is HDMI into my ATEM, which is then encoding to YouTube at 6 megabits, 1080, and yeah, that's the path. What are you doing? Says, do you think an HDMI splitter with a dummy plug on each output would let me turn off the ATEM and not have the computer reconfigure the screen's layout? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, so if you're feeding your computer into the ATEM and then you turn off the ATEM, your computer will see it as the screen disconnected. HDMI splitter with a dummy plug on each output. Each output. You mean one output. You want to send one copy to the ATEM and the dummy plug on one so that the computer always thinks there's a screen connected. That should work. I'm actually doing something similar here. I have my screen set to mirroring, not extended display, but it's the same thing. What I'm doing is I have my HDMI out from the computer going into a converter, which I guess it could be a splitter also. No, I think it's important that it's the Blackmagic converter, because the Blackmagic converter, that's what the computer sees. And as long as that thing's powered on, it will always think there's a screen connected. So then I have one output from that converter going to my monitor and another going to the ATEM over SDI, which is because I have the SDI ATEM. But I think you can do something similar if you're doing a HDMI splitter with that little dummy plug that tricks it into thinking there's a monitor. I have 3 outputs from the PC going to the ATEM Mini. Oh, interesting. Okay. 3 outputs. Yeah, but that should work. Graham says, I was about to say that I've not found it easy to get SSDs that are on Blackmagic approved list, but they've updated the list recently. I did notice that. So speaking of recording troubles with the ATEM, they do test a bunch of different SSDs, and they did update recently the list of SSDs, and it shrunk a lot, which is really interesting. So if you are having issues with recording freezing on the ATEM, double check that your drive is one of the approved ones, because that can definitely be a problem. Rookie says, I'm running a Yamaha TF3 into my ATEM SDI. The sound coming out of the TF3 comes out perfect, but when it comes to the ATEM, once it goes... But when it comes out of the ATEM, once it goes through the ATEM, is it... I assume you're saying it sounds bad. Yeah, so the analog inputs of the ATEM are not the best. But there is also a setting. So if you are in, there's a setting in there which is to switch it between line and mic level. So that's something you can try. Let me go switch over to that one that has the setting. So in here, there's audio general. So here, there's mic and line level for each of them, which means basically how much gain the ATEM is going to add to it itself. So if you've set it to mic level and then you've dialed the volume down on your audio interface, that's going to mean that the ATEM is amplifying it more. So you probably want to switch it to line level and then set your output of the mixer to line level, and that should get a better result. It is analog though, so that also means it is going to be at the whims of your cable length, whether the cable's getting interference, electrical interference, things like that. So if you are getting too many issues like that, then you might want to go find a way to bring the audio in digitally, like embedding it on an HDMI with an HDMI embedder first, things like that. All 3.5 millimeter ports are trash. Get a camera that has XLR and bring it in via HDMI. Yes, that. And he said it is line already. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is just not there. The analog inputs are just not that great. So you'll get a better result, like Matt says, bringing in XLR through an HDMI or a separate embedder. Chronux says, when you plug a camera or capture card into a RØDECaster video USB port, both the audio and video are available on the RØDECaster. Camera or capture card into a RØDECaster video USB port. So the USB ports go either audio and video out from the RØDECaster video. So using it as a webcam. And yes, both audio and video are available for that. You can also bring in audio from Rode devices in on the USB port, but not video. So, oh yeah, you can also connect a USB capture card over USB, like an Elgato Cam Link, and that does bring in video and audio that way as well. Matt says, YOLO Live Ultra 2.7.0 beta was one of the best beta I'm using now. I expect the official release in the next few weeks. Oh, good. I am really... I published a video last week that I'd queued up. I'd recorded it weeks ago, and I published it on Friday last week. Finally, after I was like done with the event and ready to head home, or I think it may have been Thursday. Was wrapping up. I had time to upload a thumbnail. But it was comparing the auto switch of the RØDECaster video and the YOLO Box Ultra, because they both have auto switch based on audio levels. And then Frank texted me and was like, we had to take that out and roll back because there were bugs. And I'm so sad because the video was doing so well. It was like number 2 out of the last 10, getting a bunch of views. It already racked up like almost 1,000 views in just like a half an hour. And I took it down because it doesn't make sense to have the video out when the feature isn't actually there. So hopefully that launches soon. and I can publish the video again. But I'm gonna have to like re-upload it because it's gonna. Maybe I should test not re-uploading it and just turning it back on, if I don't have to change anything in the video. Anyway, I'm glad to hear it'll be coming out soon. Good tip from IT Never Gets Old. I found using NVMe drives in carriers works better than the conventional off-the-shelf USB SSDs. That's interesting because that's definitely not on the supported list from Blackmagic. Andrew had a really great tip, one that I should have thought of. The cable I'm using between the TF3 and the ATEM isn't that good. Try replacing it. Definitely. I would, yeah. I've had many 1/8" cables cause problems, so not surprised. It is in the 2.70. Okay, good. What HDMI transmitter receiver do you recommend and why for an indoor live stream of a basketball game? Thank you. You rock. Thanks. There's a bunch of good HDMI transmitters now. So Hollyland and Cine are the two that I've used. They've both sent me some. It's been a while, so they're now like the ones I have are several years old, but they're still fine. They still work just as well. So they're not super cheap, but they are pretty solid. Generally, I would expect to find something around the $300 to $400 mark, and then it'll probably be great. There are super cheap wireless HDMI transmitters that are going to make you mad. Actually, one of the ones that I tested that I was surprised at how good it was, even considering how cheap it is the RGB Link one. The RGB Link dual receiver. So it's one transmitter, two receivers, which is kind of a cool trick. But it's not meant for cameras. It's meant for like screen sharing. So it does work okay for cameras, but it's really meant for screen sharing. It is like $200 for the kit, which is cheap, even though it sounds like a lot. All the comments on this video are like, this isn't cheap. This is a terrible video. I thought it was actually a cheap transmitter. But no, the ones that are even cheaper than that are going to be more frustrating. That one worked surprisingly well, but I would still probably only trust it for screen sharing. The reason is because screen sharing doesn't, like the image doesn't change very often compared to camera. So you can use a lower bandwidth and it has less needs. But if you're doing cameras, you probably want to go and spend the extra. So I would shoot for something $300 to $500. And Cine and Axune both have good transmitters. If you care about super low latency, like under, it's not even that bad. But if you care about like frame accurate latency, then you're gonna have to go spend several thousand. So, yeah. On the OBSbot Tail Air, the wireless video output via Wi-Fi is awesome, but we don't have the NDI license, which is better on picture quality and performance. If I remember correctly, there's also RTSP output from that. I have to double check. I mean, the Tail Air is a super nice little camera because it's got a built-in battery. It's very compact. It has NDI, Wi-Fi. But yeah, I mean, you're always going to get a better result from a wire, but if you can't, then the NDI is good. So, not sure which things you're asking about there. IT Never Gets Old says other folks such as Doug Johnson are using NVMe drives and carriers, having much more reliable results. And of course, Blackmagic uses NVMe and some of their switchers with the internal M2 slots. I haven't actually tried that on an ATEM. It's a good trick though. The reason I went with the Ultra that I never used in place of the ATEM, which I have been using, was the ability to bring in my RØDECaster Pro 2 in via USB and not have set up the FX3 every week for good audio. Yeah, that's a good tip for sure. it would be nice if the ATEM had the USB audio input, but at least the RØDECaster video does, so that's good. I think I caught up on the questions. Oh, Gwen from earlier. Flip side of IT Never Gets Old question. What are your favorite pieces of gear you've gotten in the past few years? That's tough. Again, do I count only ones that I've actually bought? If I do, then probably I would have to say the cameras. The BGH1 cameras. Little box cameras that I have everywhere now. It just has been so nice to not worry about having to fiddle with the buttons on the cameras. I can make changes remotely. I can pull up the screen on the computer. I can, yeah, they've been great. They look good. They are rock solid. The only time I've had a problem with one was actually at the conference I was streaming. I actually crashed one, which I've never had happen before. It was super weird, but that was the only time I've had anything happen with those cameras. So yeah, I think that's the top purchase. Okay, we're almost at 90 minutes. But do we want to test out and try to recreate the digital art by capping an SRT stream? Let's try it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an SRT stream. I can do this on the computer. It'll be easier. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take the Director Mini, and I'm going to stream SRT. This has a network port connected to it that's actually connected into a router where I can control the latency and maximum bandwidth. So I can add delays, like I can add glitches, I can drop packets, things like that. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to stream it to YouTube instead of the Magewell Pro Convert. And once it's on YouTube, I'll be able to tweak the bandwidth of its network connection, and we'll see how it goes. So this I can do on the computer, although I do need to first enter a stream key, so I'm going to do that without sharing my screen. So I'm going to go and make a new stream here. This is what I was doing right after the live stream last week. Create a new test stream for SRT glitches. We will make this where's the visibility? There it is. Gonna make it unlisted so that come on, you can do it. I believe in you. Okay. I am going to set it to ultra low latency, which is going to make it so that there's less time between me making changes and seeing it on YouTube, but it's also going to mean that it'll be able to recover less quickly. But that's good. So let's go make a, do I have another SRT test? So here is an SRT stream key. And now I need to go input this into the Director Mini. So I can do that from here. And now I'm going to not type in the, oh gosh, now I have to remember the trick. There's a trick to this. Port 2010. Okay, so I had to go watch, but I really need to take a screenshot of this. I had to go watch back my stream when I first was doing SRT because it was really not clear what goes into these boxes. It is, because there's two. There's a stream key and passphrase, and it's not encryption, if I remember correctly. Oh shoot, was it? Gosh, okay. I need to go. Did I show this on the stream 2 weeks ago? That was the one from Chicago, which had the digital art. This was the one from. This was the one where we did it. Okay, so somewhere in here. Somewhere in here, I go and set up SRT configs. Should have added timestamps. Very small, blurry. There. Oh, that's the chaos router. That's. Oh, I wasn't even going to YouTube here, so that's not going to work. Shoot. Okay, I have to just figure it out. Oh, I know what I can do. I have instructions from YouTube. If I can find it. From, what was his name? Callum. They sent me a PDF. There it is. Apparently it was already downloaded on my computer, which makes sense. Nils already found the test stream. How did you find it? Okay, this is the PDF I got. There we go. Stream ID is this. Oh, and it does use encryption. Okay, so that's the passphrase. There we go. So we're going to go stream ID. We're going to turn on encryption. And then I need to fill this in. Stream key. And passphrase. And let's see if this works. Connect. No, did not work. Okay, there's something else. There's something else. Oops. So much for hiding that. Man. What was it? Was that the right encryption? 128 or 256. Okay. Oh. I might need to move this. Nope. Oh, I remember what it was. I think I have to take out that. Let's see if that works. Yeah. Weird. Okay. So, this is streaming here. Excellent connection. Let's go live. Great. And then I'll drop this link in the chat from this one. Test stream. Okay. I don't actually think I have any audio going to that right now, but that's fine because we don't need you to double up on the audio. All right. I want macro blocks, digital smears, and artifacts as big as the day is long. Here we go. Okay, So we've got a stream going. I'm going to pull this up on my computer, and there it is. So now we can. Should I put some sort of graphics over the top of this so that we can see that it's from the director mini? Let's do a lower third. No, let's do a title. Director mini. Can't type today. Test something in the air. Nobody else in the chat can type either. Oh, why did that not have the last word? Weird. Well, that's fine. Just says director mini. Okay. So that should, there we go. Now it popped up there. Something is cropped. Did I not reset the position of this? Position. I just want to reset. Auto. Center. There we go. Got rid of the little black border around the edge. Okay. So now we've got just my regular video going to YouTube. Now I can start adding delays and latency. So the upload, this one, I'm going to start adding packet loss, and let's add just 5% packet loss and see what happens. And it should only take a couple seconds before it kicks in here. And 5% is probably not enough to mess with it. So let's do more. 20%. How do I know when it's... Oh, there it goes. It's already starting. You see it? Look at that. So that's because my... what was my latency in the director mini? I think it was 120. So actually, if I add a delay to this, it should mess it up too. If I add like 60 millisecond delay, that should also throw it for a loop. Let's see. Do that. Let's after the delay. There we go. Look at that. And it looks like it's falling behind because I haven't even clapped yet, right? Oh, there we go. It's getting bad. I was behind really bad now. And this is, so at some point, there should be a keyframe that clears this up, but there, so that was a keyframe. But there's packet loss in the keyframes also. So they're not getting a complete keyframe up to clear it up. But it should happen again. There it goes. It cleared up a little bit. So because there's so much packet loss, you can see like it's only getting part of the keyframe in there before it glitches out. So if let's take off the delay and just go back to packet loss only. So there, now that's just packet loss after I wave. There we go. So with packet loss only, it's going to be better, right? Because now just every 20% of the packets are getting dropped. So it's able to still retry them. And actually, if I look at this, the data rate has jumped up because it's taking 20% more bandwidth to successfully deliver the packets. So if I up the packet loss further, which is actually probably unrealistic at this point, that you would have 30% packet loss, but we should get even more artifacting now. I'll wave after I set the 30%. Oh yeah, and I've also fallen behind the broadcast. So now this is with 30% packet loss. But what I think what's more realistic compared to 30% packet loss is a latency that's not set properly for your stream. So Let's say that I only have like 2% packet loss, because that's realistic on like a hotel network, but the delay. So this was where things went wrong during the stream last time. The night before, I had done a test, and the test that I do is a ping test. So let me grab the host name from the YouTube studio. So if you look at the stream URL, it tells you you're streaming to a.srt.youtube.com. So I'm going to grab that, and then do just ping from well, this is from my good computer, the good network, but I'm getting like 11 milliseconds, right? Which is very good, right? That's because I'm on my good fiber connection. I don't really have a way to ping it from the bad network without also messing up my computer, which I don't want to do. But point is, I think I was getting like 50 or 60 milliseconds at the hotel the night before, but then on the actual morning, the stream, the ping times were 500 milliseconds to 600 milliseconds. So let's go simulate that. So right now my latency is set to 120, so it should be fine. Let's actually not have any packet loss. So let's just skip over to live. So there's no packet loss. It should be perfectly fine. But if I set the delay to like 100 milliseconds, which isn't even that bad, right? As soon as I do that, I'll wave. So now the delay is set. Then the SRT delay is set to 120 milliseconds, but it should be set to 600 milliseconds in order to compensate for the delay. So at this point, things should start looking, should start getting pretty bad, because the delay won't be able to make up for it, I think. Maybe because it's clean delay, it's actually fine. Let's move this over so I can keep both side by side. I think because it's a consistent delay, it's actually fine. So let's add a variance of like 60 milliseconds. Actually, realistically, I should probably add a delay on the download also, because both are going to get delayed. Okay, now the delay is set. Oh, there we go. Oh my God. Yeah, so now the SRT packets can't get up fast enough. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. I actually think it's really cool that you can see the video encoder working, because like you can still see some of the shapes and some of the movement even if the colors are wrong. So like if I wave over by the pumpkin, then you'll see some motion there, but it won't look like a hand. Okay, so the other part of the story. Oh, I guess we got a keyframe just in the nick of time, and it actually was pretty good. There we go. Now we got some nice muddy hand there. You can see the encoder at work. Okay, so now that I have 100 milliseconds plus or minus 60 delayed, can I fix the stream while keeping the delay? That's the real test, right? So I do need to disconnect in order to change. You can also see the bitrate is creeping up to 10 megabits because of all the retries it's doing. So if I disconnect that, go back in here and compensate for that. So if I'm my max delay would be 160 milliseconds. So 160 times 6 is 960. So if I change this to 1,000 milliseconds latency, will this let me fix stream even though there's a terrible delay? That's the test. So now let's see, skip to live. And I need some indication. I guess it cleared up. Yes, it did. Wave my hands around. So now that the SRT feed is being delayed by a full second, it's able to retry all the packets it needs to. Oh, that was the, yeah. So it's able to retry all the packets it needs to while compensating for that extra delay. So that is the moral of the story. And that is something you don't get with RTMP because there are no options for this in RTMP. And it's holding pretty strong now, which is great. But it is like, you know, I've got an extra second of delay here, but that's fine because my stream's already delayed a couple seconds anyway. So no big deal. There you go. That was the demo I wanted to do. Let me go back through the chat here. Oh, hey, Darren is here. Just got home from lunch with friends. Just saying hi. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Hopefully you enjoyed the digital art. Some people pay good money to get some of these effects during editing. It's true. I am melting. Yes. What's your output setting? Resolution, bitrate, frames per second, internet speed on the stream looks sharp and smooth. Thanks. Yeah. I have gigabit internet here, so I have a pretty solid, normally 600, 900 megabits up on this. I'm only streaming at 6 megabits from the ATEM Mini SDI, ATEM SDI Pro ISO name, 1080p resolution, bitrate is 6 megabits, 30 frames a second. But again, it's mostly the lighting. Have I tested the Epiphan Pearl family? I have. It's been a while since I've done much with it. Probably worth doing another video, actually, because they did an update to it recently. They did a firmware update that added a couple of interesting features. So I should do a video about it. And maybe we can also test the glitches. Colors on the unlisted stream are slightly warmer and more saturated than here. Curious why? Because it's the Director Mini doing in the encoding, not the ATEM. Everything's going to have slightly different color processing. So it's the same HDMI feed coming out of the big ATEM that goes into the ATEM Mini, but then that also goes into the Director Mini, which is just going to be doing its own processing on the colors. YouTube is going to boot you off or thinks the stream is very healthy. What did the... Yeah, YouTube console did not complain about anything about that, which is, again, not really correct. Dom says, is the RØDECaster video suitable to replace OBS for game streaming? It really depends on what you're doing with OBS, because it definitely doesn't have all the features that you can do inside of OBS. It is much like OBS can do like almost anything, right? So the RØDECaster video is definitely much more limited, but I would say that they are definitely trying to tackle the game streaming market with it. So it's already pretty good for that. Like I would also like most of the time if you're doing game streaming, you're going to be having a separate streaming PC anyway to offload your gameplay. And that's kind of what this device does, is it does that offloading without it being a whole computer. I mean, it is a computer, but it's better than a computer for streaming. But yeah, you're not going to get the same kinds of like graphics integrations built in that you get with OBS. Like right now, there's no web overlay built in. Maybe they will add that in the future, but if you're using web graphics in your streams, you'll need to do that somehow, some other way right now. But otherwise, yeah, it's a great option. Oh, good point. What are you doing? Would you like to show the new folks how to search through your old live streams? Yeah, there should be some links down in the description below. If you have one of the links will be this question search. So if you are interested, if you're looking for questions that you think I may have answered in the past, you can search here, and let's say like Director Mini, and what this is going to do is going to search for any time people in the chat have asked about the Director Mini. This is also why you should try to spell check your questions before you ask them. But then if you, so this is like, you can see all the different streams in the past that talk about the Director Mini. That goes back to, when's the first one? October 2023 is when people started asking about it. But if you click on the timestamps, it'll jump you right to that live stream. Spooky Halloween stream. Oh yeah, I forgot that I had, oh, that's a creepy, oh, I forgot to change my map to Halloween theme this year. This was the lighting I opened with on Halloween last year. I did not have enough time to have fun this year with Halloween. Didn't help that I was like on a plane Halloween morning. So yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, my costume was dressing up as NDI. How spooky is that? But yes, you can search through the questions and find timestamps from past streams. It's very handy. Also, the reason that I have my whole custom chat thing, so I can do that. How much packet reordering can the YouTube Live SRT receiver cope with? Yeah, let's try that one. So we are doing fine on the... Let's get rid of the delay. Okay, so no delay, but let's say that there's like 10, what's a realistic 5% reordering? Now that my latency is, my SRT latency is a second, it's probably gonna be fine. Oops, why didn't that save? 5% reordering. What? Do I have to also add like something else? Sometimes that is the case. Yeah. Okay. So I have to add 10 milliseconds and 5. And here's a wave when I started the reordering. But my SRT latency is so high that it's probably gonna be fine. So let's see what happens if I reduce my SRT latency back down to like what I would normally do for having a otherwise pretty good internet. Let's disconnect that. Let's change it down to like 160 and connect. And when this comes back, it should be on the new setting. When we see a coffee, there it goes. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of packet reordering happening, but it still looks fine. So let's up it more. Oh, I saw a glitch. There we go. Now we're getting some glitches. So this is a good example. Again, like if you're curious about more of the details of this, I have a good video that talks about the protocol details of SRT. Let me find that one really quick. It is it's from a while ago now, but it is going to, it's not really SRT versus RTMP. It's not like that information is going to get old. But the SRT is not aware of the video protocol, but it is made for real-time streams. But if the protocol could be made aware of the codec itself, then it could do things like prioritize keyframes and make sure that the entire keyframe is delivered so that it clears up the image when there's glitches like that, instead of getting completely muddy. Because right now, if you miss part of the keyframe, then it doesn't have anything to go off of until the next keyframe arrives and hopefully clears it up. So 10% reordering is not too bad. Let's bump it up again, just for fun. And let's see, did my player get behind? It did. There we go. Yeah. So hey, if you need to generate some digital art artifacts, now you know how. What's the max overhead of the packet retries add to the total bitrate out of the Director Mini? It definitely seems like it will, like right now I'm looking at the encoder is saying like 9 megabits on the Director Mini, and that was at, I think it's set to like 6 or 5 or something. So it can definitely go up a lot. What are the uses and applications of RTMP, SRT, I should say? So do take a look at that video I just linked in the chat about the differences between SRT and RTMP. But essentially, the SRT is made specifically for real-time streams of data, whereas RTMP is just like an older version of it. And they did a lot of things in the protocol that will help, like we're seeing, recover on what otherwise would have been completely unusable over RTMP. Maybe this is a good actual comparison to do. So right now, this is, again, with a pretty bad network right now. We've got 20% packet reordering. But this stream is like watchable, right? It definitely got glitches, but it's not unwatchable as long as the audio is fine, which I guess I should probably put the audio on there. Where is it? There we go. So now that stream has audio, which I'm not listening to, but you will be able to tell. So I think this is, like, considering the delay and the reordering, pretty good, right? In fact, let me up the delay more to, like, let's see, like 30 milliseconds. Let's see. I wish I had a way to, maybe I should have brought that into the stream. Well, here, I'll go to my drone video really quick and then cut back to me. Skip ahead. And then, okay. So the demo I want to do is what happens with this same network, the same bad network, but over RTMP. My suspicion is it's going to be completely unwatchable. This is actually getting pretty bad now, but it's something. So I do have to make a separate stream for it because I can't stream to both. I can't change a stream type on YouTube. So in here, now that it's SRT, I can't change it, but I can go make a new one. So let's go create test stream for RTMP glitches and make it unlisted. And then this one, I will set this one to an RTMP key. Test RTMP. Ultra low latency, just to keep things even. And then let's copy this into here. So yeah, oh yeah, the other part of this is I've been streaming H.264 this whole time. It is a fun test to also switch it to H.265 because you can actually get a lot better. Okay. So let's switch now to the other one. So we'll connect here and disconnect SRT and then go into this one, and hopefully it should say excellent connection. Great. Let's give you the URL in the chat. RTMP test. And we're ready to go live. And let's see how this does. This is interesting. Why is this so much better? Yeah, this is interesting. It's handling the packet reordering better. I wonder if that's just because it has, so I don't get a delay setting on the RTMP encoder. So I wonder if that just means that its buffer is big enough to handle the reordering. Must be it. This is going to be, I'm pretty sure, I can't test both at the same time now, but pretty sure this is more delayed than the SRT version. So let's see how long how, let's see, the SRT one broke down at like 100 milliseconds plus or minus 60, right? Let's do that. So that's going to be, now we've got more delay. Let's see if that starts glitching. I'm actually kind of surprised that it's not doing as bad as I thought it would. Let's up that to the download also. Yeah, huh. I'm surprised by this result, but this is why we test things. Okay, so the delay is not enough to mess up. Let's up the delay more. There we go. Now it's buffering. Okay. Oh, and interestingly, this is actually, I think, a good demonstration of the differences. Yeah, so it's just skipping rather than glitching. And on the Director Mini itself, the data rate is actually dropping. So it goes, like, it dropped below 2 for a second there. It's definitely, like, fluctuating. For a couple of seconds, it was down below 2. But the RTMP one is now, well, I think the player switched. No, it's only a few seconds back. So if the video is pausing like that, like this, people are not going to watch it. But if there's glitch art, but the audio is still fine, then people will keep watching. So that's another difference in the failure modes. Oh yeah, now the data rate it's like 100 kilobits. It's like not able to even get anything up. Whereas in SRT, it was able to. Let's see what the SRT one looks like when it's this bad now. Yeah, RTMP is totally dead at this point. 200 milliseconds, 5% packet loss, 20% reordering. It's a bad network, but RTMP is totally dead. So let's switch over to SRT with the same settings and see how this one does. Let's cut back to live. So I'll go like this until we get a picture. Should eventually. So the Director Mini is showing me 11 megabits a second now, even though it should only be encoding at like 5. There we go. So this is now something. And it's not pausing every couple of seconds either, which is good. The question is what's the audio? This is now something. And it's not pausing every couple of seconds either, which is good. Yeah, the audio is not glitching like the video, so that's good. Okay, interesting. Well, we learned some things today. That's fun. Oh, silent sound. I just saw your question. Is there an external AV1 hardware encoder that is targeted to small streamers, not costing an arm and a leg? AV1 hardware encoder. No, I haven't seen one like that. Possibly well, they're definitely not going to be cheap. I would have to double check, but I think there might be a KiloView encoder that can do it, but it's not going to be cheap. So, no. I don't think you're going to find anything that is as cheap as you want it to be. What's your audio setup, audio processing in short? And sorry for making you repeat. I haven't talked about audio today, so no worries. So the microphone that's on the stream is right above the camera, right out of frame. It's, see, my finger is, let's see, that far away out of the top of the frame. And it is running XLR into the audio mixer on the floor, which is the Behringer Rack 32, which I also like because it gives me a computer interface to control it, so I can control it from here and not have to fiddle with things on the screen. And it's automatable, so I can script it from Companion. But it lets me make a bunch of different mixes. The main reason I got this versus one of the smaller ones was because of the MADI audio capability, which means I can bring in all the audio channels from the ATEM into this. Not all of them. I can bring in 15 of the video channels audio into this. So most of these are actually audio channels that are inside of the ATEM itself, and I only have a couple of things that are not in the ATEM, one of which being the microphone. So the microphone is an XLR mic, and then I'm doing some audio processing in here, so you can see I've got a noise gate, I've got equalizer, a little bit of EQ. I can't remember what that notch is for. I think it's for one of the fans in here. But this helps clean up the sound a little bit. And then I can route this out to the stream, and I can also have my monitor, my speaker in the room, not have my microphone in it, but I can hear my computer audio out the speakers, or sound from OBS, for example. So here's my OBS. So when there's music playing in the countdown, like I can hear it in the room and send it to the stream at different volumes, which is super handy. So that's my audio situation. My rule of thumb for boom mic distance is length of thumb to pinky on one hand. So like that. That's a good rule. Mine is just a little bit farther than that. Do we know the release date and price for the YoloBox Extreme? I think they were showing the price. No, they didn't show the price yet. No, I don't think we know anything yet. I don't either. Not like I'm hiding it. No, I think they said, if I remember correctly, and I guess don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure they said it was going to not come out this year. So like it might be at least January, February next year. But I don't remember if that is 100% accurate. Cool. Okay. Well, that was fun. Got to create some digital art today. And yeah. I think we're going to wrap this up here. So with that, oh yeah, we've gone full glitch. Full glitch art here. It's pretty fun, though. I really like that it shows you the motion encoding that it's doing in the codec. Matt says, I asked and I got nothing on the Extreme. Okay, yeah, no ETAs yet. I still wish they had done things a little bit different with the Extreme, like an extra HDMI out or something. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. So with that, I think we're going to wrap things up. I need to take a breath and get some more coffee, and then prep for a call with somebody. Down in the link below, there's a link to book time with me if you have what time you want to spend on one-on-one questions. And I have a call coming up with someone in an hour, so I need to go get ready for that. As always, thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the support. Thank you for watching and your thumbs ups and watch time. And of course, thanks to our extreme supporters, Larry, David, and Marcin, and to everybody else for being a member of the channel. If you're a channel member, make sure you join the Discord. There's a link in the YouTube membership area, and you will join the members Discord, chat with everybody else throughout the week, chat with me, see all the ETS photos I'm posting as I'm testing things out. I'm actually back now, mostly not traveling the rest of the year, certainly no more week-long trips, so I should have more time to get through this stack of gear on the table over there that needs some testing. So that'll be fun, and I will be posting things on the Discord throughout the week as we get things out of the boxes. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks to all the new viewers for joining. Thanks to all the regulars for coming and hanging out. It's always fun. And yeah, I will see you all again next time, next week. Bye.